Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium on the 19th of June 2024. Today we're going to run through some cut data and we're going to look at some other stuff as well. My terminal seems to be messing around, so let me restart it. It's okay, so I need to be on the all. Please don't freeze. Oh, what a pain. Let me try again. Let me pause this and figure this out. Yeah, well, I can't load that profile, so I'll do something else. But let's start off by looking at the COT data. I just downloaded the latest stuff. Let's have a look at the American dollar index. So we go here, index, and we look at the most recent stuff. That'll grind for a moment. I didn't click the button. Okay, here we are. You can see here, this is net once again. We are moving lower. And we can't really see who it is, if it's the commercials or the non-commercials. But what we can see is that we have this. This is the commercials. They are net much more short than the non-commercials are net long. Okay, so that is telling us that we have the commercials that are driving this downward trend in the American dollar, or rather this downward bias in the futures market, which is not necessarily going to be visible in the spot FX market yet. Okay, because it does take time for these things to manifest, because the process is quite slow. And you can see here the non-reportables, the non-commercials, the non-reportables and the total reportables. These are pretty much mirror images of themselves, of each other rather. So let's have a look at the commercials, and we can see here that these guys are continuing to expand their short holdings, which is interesting. So let's have a look at the non-commercials here. This is going to be, this is ever so slightly moving more bullish. So let's see what that looks like on the price chart. I'm going to have to use my my ASR template because the other one's not working. Where do we have the USDX? Right here. So looking at this, let's go to the weekly chart so we can see the clear data. You can see that we're slowly beginning to pull back. This is here, okay? So this is what we've seen here, looking at, let's go here to the overview. You can see here the past 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, we've begun to move lower. This is net. Again, it's really important to remember this is net, okay? So this is the difference between the non-commercials and the commercials. But the commercials are still keen on accumulating bullish positions, only just a little bit. And the commercials, these guys are pretty keen in selling, okay? So the underlying price should be like a push towards the downside. And if we look here, we look at the past 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're seeing something completely different. So this is something maybe that will manifest in the coming time, because this stuff is pretty slow. But looking at this, I wouldn't be too comfortable selling, and the reason I wouldn't is because, let me have a look here. So we've had this. It's been tested once, twice. We almost got through it from here, and this is where price is tested. Now we see this candle closed before this one. This was a very bullish candle. This one closed at the top end above it, outside the range of the previous. This is a week, and so I'm thinking we'll probably see something like this to continue higher, maybe revisit these highs just around here. Got a sell zone here, release candle, test, and we're not just yet. So I think that we'll probably see a continuation of buying. But if we have a look here on the smaller time frames, on the 1 hour, I think it can go either way. Actually, the 4 hours better. Yeah, so we have like a pretty decent zone down here. Okay, this is interesting because prices left and gapped higher very, very quickly. But note as well that we have already rebalanced that. This is the the zone, the origin of this move, and price pretty much rebalanced that move already when it came back to here. Okay, this is where the software is kind of drawing this high, an expectation that prices come down to about that level, which is roughly around here. This is where we saw prices move away from. So this is already rebalanced, and so I'm thinking that prices could kind of stabilize, maybe around here, maybe even as low as here, and then maybe continue their journey a little bit higher until we get up to around here, rather around here. I think this is a pretty important zone here. This is where prices left. You can see how prices revisited these highs, went a bit deeper, and we sold off, rebalancing this, which was kind of revisited here. And now I think we had an imbalance, rebalance. Okay, so I think that we are pretty much set up for a bit of a pullback before a continuation higher on the American dollar there. Okay, so let's have a look at. Got such a bugger I can't see what the order was for these assets, but I'll just go through them one by one. Let's have a look at the British pound. I'm just going to grab the COT data for the pound, the British pound sterling, pound. Oops, here. So we want to see some big discrepancies. We're not really seeing that here. We're seeing a net increase in long positions, or rather a net decrease in short positions. Okay, that's what, because we had like a pretty interesting short bias here, but you can see that that is lessening. And so let's see which one of these two groups it is that's actually causing that. The 60,000, they're pretty much matched. The non-commercials, let me go like that. The non-commercials are slightly higher than the commercials. So we're going to go to the non-commercial side and see what these guys are doing. And you can see that these guys are expanding their long holding. Net positioning for the British pound, you can see that we are increasing. And we actually had like a bit of a cycle. We had the peak at the top, the trough at the bottom, and now we're kind of moving up towards this peak. And so I'm thinking we'll probably see prices wriggle up from here. If we have a look at this, we'll put it on the weekly chart, which is the data that we have. And this is just showing us kind of that push higher just here. But note as well that we are revisiting this sell zone just here. Okay, we didn't quite get there, but we might have a run up there before we have a bit of a pullback there. But having a look at this, we had that pullback, and we actually had some long positions. I think let me have a look here. The ASR was buying down here yesterday. We had small reactions, and we did also see this. We have like something here. Okay, prices left. We came back up to it, and then we left. So I'm thinking that we could see prices move back up to at least this little zone. This is the child zone, parent zone, price slingshots pull back, and then we move lower. And we do have a little bit of inefficiency below. Let's have a quick look. We have a price nodule in here. I can see we had this tested, this moved through it, tested, moved away. This one tried to, failed. This one did it right there. Okay, so I'm thinking that prices will probably do something like that and then move back down to this area here, which is a pretty reasonable spot, I think, to race back to. We have, again, focusing on the price. This is the zone, tested, removed. The origin of that is probably a bit of a bigger zone, something like that. This is the 4-hour chart. So I think if prices come back down here, or even a little bit lower, again, you have this, tested, prices went down to here, and then we left, so we do have a buy zone in here as well. So I think we have some interesting zones here that we could keep an eye on. So keep an eye on prices kind of moving back up to here, to this child and to this parent, and then wriggling down in an attempt to rebalance this and revisit this buy zone just around here on the British pound. So going back to here, we're seeing an increase in the non-commercial longs. You can see we are just building, or they are building up their holding of long positions. So I think that would lend to a push higher for that. Okay, let's have a look at the Australian dollar Australian dollar. Let's have a look. Just make sure we have the right data. .11th. We should have some newer data. Let me take a look. Never mind. My mistake. It's Wednesday. It's summer holiday here, so I don't really know what day it is. So everything is really up in the air. So my apologies for that. That is the correct data. So we go back to the Australian dollar. Gosh. School holidays. Let's grab a hold of that. Click there. Okay, so things are pretty flat here. There's no real discrepancies. Pretty evenly matched. Let's have a look here. Let's have a look at the non-commercials. Building up short positions. Commercials will be doing the opposite. Yes, this is probably going to be pretty flat. Let's jump to that quickly. You're going to have to go to here, my first chart. Sorry for all this clutter here. I use this at the moment on the ASR development. So we have this just here. Okay, we go to this time frame so we can see more of them. We have this. Yeah, I mean this pretty much tells us what's going on, where we have a pretty good balance between the two, and we have just this zone here. As a matter of fact, this zone is kind of based on here. Okay, price is left, we moved above these highs, qualifying this zone here. This is the parent, this is the child. Prices often go through the child to the parent, which they did, testing, a little bit of a deeper one, and then we move to the other side, which is just up here. And so I'm thinking that we're just kind of moving between those two. I think we'll probably manage to move to the other side of this zone here, but we'll have to wait and see. Having a look here, yeah, we still have plenty of room below. We have relatively inefficient price movement here. Okay, we've only had rebalancing to here, just here, once, twice, three times, kind of a fourth time. So I think if prices manage to move at least up to this sell zone here, then we should see prices begin to move lower. Keeping in mind that prices could easily go up here, because this appears to be a sell zone on a bigger time frame, which we could see by looking left on a bigger time frame. So that's what we have there. Let's have a look at something else. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. We haven't looked at Bitcoin for a while. Bitcoin, a good friend of mine just bought a boatload of Bitcoin at a very high price. Yeah, so this is net. I mean, net pretty short, huh? We have a look. Okay, so where's the zero line? There's the zero line. See, we have the total reportable and the non-commercials. These guys are way more short than they are long. And if we'd have to look at the price chart here. Bitcoin, where are you? Let me add that symbol. If you guys don't know how to add a symbol in MT4, it's pretty easy. You just right click on the market watch like so. Oh, it's right there. But you right click, you go to symbols, and then you simply just expand the category that you want. You can say, well, I want to see the Australian dollar Chinese yuan. Then you go like that, double click it, and it pops up there on the bottom. And you press the X button to close it, and then you can see that symbol just here. So just a little tip there. All right, so here, just going to click on that, see what's going on. Yeah, I mean, this pretty much shows us what we have going on the daily chart. We're just selling off pretty quickly. My friend who bought just up here, I told him that we should wait until we get down to around here. This is just a really, really lovely area, about around the $50,000 area. Here we have this parent zone, and then we have accumulation at the zone, and then price snapped up. We have a buy zone here, so I'm thinking the prices are going to come down to at least here, 50, 57. Ideally, we come back down to here, which is pretty important, because prices went like that. We sat on the zone, went above, and then we left. So this is kind of the spot, or the sweet spot for buying Bitcoin. We'll have to wait and see. Also keep in mind, we got this. Okay, a little less intense up here, but on the histogram, I mean, it's telling us that we're going lower, and the histogram is, at least for divergence, is rarely wrong, and so I would certainly keep an eye on the lower prices back down to equilibrium like here. Yeah, so keep your eye on that. Let's have a look here. So let's look at the non-commercials. Well, these are flat. The commercials. I wonder who would be hedging about fluctuating Bitcoin prices. Maybe some of the funds who are selling Bitcoin. It'd be really interesting to have a little bit of insight into that. If any of you have any insight, I'd be super happy to hear from you. The non-reputable, these are the punters. These guys are still super long. I mean, they've been really long for a long time, but they're always long Bitcoin because these are the guys who are just buying and holding, the hodlers as they refer to them. Yeah, and this is just continuing to expand. It's getting a little bit smaller compared to last week, but yeah, so that's interesting. So that's Bitcoin. So waiting until prices come down to here, to this one here, to this daily zone. I think that would be a really beautiful spot just around here somewhere. All right, so let's have a look at oil, and then I think we'll wrap it up for the day. Maybe I'll show some of the stuff in the new ASR. So looking at oil here, first of all, let's see what the commitment of traders stuff is saying. Well, WTI physical oil. Yeah. Well, so we've been really negative, and now we're pulling up. Let's have a look at more data just to see what we have been doing historically with oil. Yeah, I mean, you can see we were down here. Every time we've come down to this, to these levels here, we've had like considerable pullbacks, and we are actually retreating from precisely that area here that we saw in 22, 23, and now in 24. So that could be an interesting, rather, it was an interesting spot as prices began to move away. So we saw a decrease in the short positioning of oil. So if we go here, I mean that might even explain kind of some of this and some of this. We need to go to the weekly chart to see for sure. Yeah, so you can see here that we had this nice poke down into this little this higher volume spot here, and then we started to move higher, and that's what we've been doing for the past couple of weeks. Even 3 weeks ago, we had this bullish bar just down here. So I mean that explains that. I mean, here we had the overall kind of move lower, and now we're kind of maybe building a bit of a base as oil prices increase. Yeah, we'll have to see. I think this is going to offer itself to some pretty interesting buy scenarios. Let's have a look on the 4-hour chart. Yeah, so on the 4-hour chart, we're just about to reach the end of a bull cycle, so I'd probably be a little bit careful about selling just yet. We have this lovely spot here. Okay, just here. So you got to be careful with these. Goes up to that area, down, through it, bounce, 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 through it. I'm just gonna like do a very rough test it, and now we're having another go. Okay, at that area, at the time when the histogram is selling, it's time to sell. So I think we'll probably see some prices maybe begin to move away from there. Anything of value here? No, I think most of this is imbalanced, rebalanced, imbalanced, rebalanced, imbalanced, and now prices are kind of returning to that. So I think we'll probably see this begin to wriggle lower very shorter term. This is a small time frame, of course. We have some pretty decent zones here down below price. We've got I like this one because it's right here, you know, where we had attempts, failures, attempt, failure, success. We kind of came back almost to that zone, so we have a buy zone for this area of demand. Here we also have this little one here, an attempt to move into it from here, failed, and now prices just rallied and we're kind of sitting up here, but I think that we're probably gonna we're going to move down from here based on what we can see to one of these levels down here. Okay, good. So that's pretty interesting stuff. Let's have a look at maybe some of the insider information. I've been downloading this data. Let me just see how that's going. Yeah, just have a look. You can see we're still downloading. So what I'm doing here is I'm downloading all of the data files relevant relative to like the bigger investors according to the SEC. I'm downloading all the information, financial information about all of the companies that are making reports, filing reports to the SEC, and all of the investors who are buying and selling their stock. And there's tons and tons and tons of data. I mean, millions and millions of records. So it takes forever to download it. But I'm going to see if I can find a little bit of that. Maybe we can have a look. I wonder if it's still downloading. It's still downloading here. I'm not sure if I can have a look at it thus far. Let's have a look. I've got to build the insider reports. Hopefully this doesn't cause too much trouble, because I have another process running as well, downloading the reports. I'm going to have a sip of my coffee while we wait. Oh, nice. So we'll let that run. I'm just going to pause this and come back when this is finished. Okay, we're back. Successfully extracted insider reports. Okay, so now what we can do is we can have a bit of a look at any of the companies here that we might be interested in. I think NVIDIA might be a good one. So what I'm going to do, well, it's already doing it for me. So it's just confirming that we have all the data that we need, which will take just a wee moment. And then we click on this button. So what it's doing now is it's reading out this data, chucking it in like a data structure, and then it's kind of just extracting all of the data from all of the reports that you could see downloading earlier here that are all relating to NVIDIA. And so it's a lot of heavy lifting, which is why it takes a moment to do this. So we'll let it do that. It'll take normally a minute or so, or 30 seconds. And now we can take a look at some of the transactions. And you can see here that we only have negative transactions, and we have a lot of transactions here. And this is the number of stocks, this is a share price, and this is a total transaction value. And you can see, I mean, there's a ton being sold. Mark Stevens, 25 million, 87 million in one day. That's a lot. You can see here what it looks like. 87 million on that one particular day. That's a ton. Actually, there's more. There's 87. The same day, 666. So we have actually 87 plus 1 plus 25. So we have some seriously large transactions here. You can see this is 250 million. Yeah, so this is interesting. So what I want to do now is I want to analyze this data using machine learning algo, and I'll do that boom by clicking on this, and then it shares some pretty cool stuff with us, because I can search the internet, I can find out who these people are, which I'm doing, their roles in relation to NVIDIA, and stuff like that. And it also looks at the frequency and the volume of these transactions, which is super useful, especially if we're considering to buy or sell NVIDIA stock. If we're holding it, what do we do? If we're considering to buy, would it be a good time to buy now? And judging by what we can see here, it looks like, depending on who this guy is, or this person is, I mean, there are a lot of people who seem to be pretty keen on selling, and you can see that these transactions are happening every day. I mean, a lot per day. This person here sold $250,000, $250,000, $500,000, 1/3, $500,000, 100,000. You know, a lot during one day on the 5th. So if we go back to the 5th, where is it? Just here, you can see there's a total of of about 50. What is that? 59 million. Oh, sorry, 25 million. So it's a lot. So there's a lot going on, and a very high frequency of selling on that particular day. And you can see here this person here. I mean, there's sorry, a bit of a cough there. About 110 million. You know, there's a lot being sold that day. If we look down here, ownership changes. Mark A. Stevens, high volume sales across multiple dates have progressively reduced his holdings, significantly altering his ownership percentage in the company. And we can see who these people are. Insider roles. And you can see here, for example, Mark A. Stevens. He's a key player in Nvidia. I mean, you can just see over time like what these people are doing and how much they are doing it. And we have high-profile insiders such as Mark, Dawn, Michael, Brooke, John, Deborah, and Jen, and Tench have been active in selling shares. And so these are people who are in the know, so to speak. Maybe they know something about the company, the stock, which would lead them to believe that selling would be a really good idea. But then again, looking at the stock price, it's never been higher, so I think it's a really good time to take some profit off the table. So that could also explain this this very high amount of selling. But there's a lot of really interesting stuff here that you can kind of dig into, and you can use this information to help you understand what's going on. I'm going to download this and I'm going to chuck it in the chat so that everyone else can take a look at it. Okay. Good. Well, I'm going to leave it at that, I think, for the time being. But if any of you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks so much for watching.